Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students of first year, today we are going to discuss a new topic, and that is database models. So we will discuss those database models which are mostly used throughout the world to create your database. What are the database models? Database models, basically they are the set of rules to store, manipulate and organize the data inside the database system. So database models are the set of rules which defines that how to store, how to organize and how to manipulate the data in a database system. Or you can say that these are the rules or these are the specifications. That how a database system can be used to store the data. So different techniques, different database techniques. In other words, we can say that it is a kind of data structure since we have data in different formats. That is why we need different data structures, we need different techniques, different methods to store data inside the database systems. For example, we have a data in a tabular form which can be stored in a tabular form. For example, we have a kind of data that cannot be stored in a tabular form. For example, they are in a tree format. So for different type of data, we have different type of model, different type of technique. So according or looking to the type of data, different database model is being selected and that is being used. Similarly, it also describes the tools. This database model, they are tools to describe the structure and the relationship, the relationships among data. These are described by the database model. So there are so many database models being used throughout the world, but we will discuss most famous and mostly used database models. So the first one is the hierarchical model. Hierarchical model is used when data needs to be organized in a tree-like structure. Whenever you want to organize your data to be whenever the data is in the form of a tree-like structure, like an organization model, even I will write an example for that as well. So whenever you have a tree-like data structure, a tree-like data, then we select hierarchical database model. Now, in this tree-like structure, there is a concept of parent, child, relationship. There is a concept of parent-child relationship in hierarchical model. For example, if I write director, and under the director, for example, the principal, accountant, and for example, another manager. They are working directly under the direction of director. So these three are the child. This is called child, and child, where this is the parent. So it is called a parent-child relationship, where we have a predecessor and predecessors are inside this, in which here the principal, accountant or manager, they are working under the direction of the director. So these become the child and become the parent. And there is a rule in a parent-child relationship that a child can have one of the restrictions, or I would say one of the basic rules of hierarchical model is this, that a child can have only one parent. Means it cannot be inherited. This is an inheritance where there is a parent class and we have child classes. So here each child can have only one parent, where a parent can have many child. So we call it a one-to this is called a one-to-many relationship. It can be written like this, where parent can only be one and there can be many child. It can be a single child, it can have many child. So this is the concept of the hierarchical model. Now let's move to another model that is widely used, and that is network database model. The network database model also have a relationship that is owner and that is a member relationship. Here we have parent-child relationship, where in a network model we have an owner and member relationship. So what is the difference? The question arises, what is the difference between owner member and parent child? So that is why it is being called parent, that one parent can have many child and one child can have a single parent. But here, since it has an owner and member, so the only difference, the main difference between these two models is that a child can have or if here I write member, can have more than one owners. Let me write an example, it will get clear to you. For example, we have a store and there is a customer there is a manager and we have a salesman. here, okay, you can say that, okay, single parent, many child. But when it comes down, we have items and we have order. So order can be put by assessment, and order can be put by a manager, and order can be put by a customer. Now here you can see that here this is a child which are right now having 3 parents. So that is why it is not being called parent-child relationship. It is being called the member and owner. In this area, a member has 3 owners, and that is why a member can have more than one owner. Here, this member can have, and this is the main difference between them, that here it can have more than one parents, where it has a single parent. So these were the 2 database models that we have discussed. Now let's move further and we will discuss the relational database model. Okay, a relational database model is very important to understand. Why? Because it is mostly when you create a database, mostly when you want to design a structural database, we use relational database model. And if you remember in the previous lecture, we have discussed RDBMS, our database management system, where all the data were being stored in a relation. In the previous class, I have told you that what is the difference between a relation and a relationship. Relation means table inside database, where the relationship is the association among the tables. It is a link between the 2 tables, how the 2 tables can get linked together. So here, the relational database model means in relational database models, data is being stored in the form of relations, means table. That is why it is called relational database model. The second thing in a relational database model is this, that, okay, if we further elaborate that what is a relation. So relation or table is the combination of rows and columns. See if there is a table. For example, it is a student table. So inside this student table, it is divided into columns. And these related columns are, when combined, they make a row. So this is what we call table. Okay. So for example, we have serial number, we have name, we have address, we have phone number, etc. So that is divided into the combination of rows and columns, where the row is also called tuple. Rows are also called tuples in the database terminology. It is called tuple. And the row is also a complete record. A row is a complete record. So if we start from the very simple thing, so basically we have fields. Fields means columns. When related columns are combined, they make a record. When related records are combined, they make a table. And if we move towards the columns, so columns are called fields in database. In database, columns are called fields. In database, row is called tuples. So whenever you are being asked that what is the another name of row, tuple, what is another name of column, that is a field. And basically columns are the attributes of an entity. The columns are the attributes of an entity. What is an entity? So here the student name, that is called entity, and entity is the name of the table. So, we are just exploring what is the relational database model. So, let me go through again, then we go forward. The data is stored in the form of tables, which are called relations. Then, table is what is the table? Table is a combination of rows and columns. When rows and columns combine, they make a table. So, all the data are being stored in the form of rows. Where row is called a record. It is a complete record, and in database terminology, row is also called tuples. Similarly, the columns, the rows is divided into columns, and each column is a field, and field are the attributes of an entity. Attributes are, you can say, these are the properties of an entity. What is entity? Entity, for example, here student is an entity. Entity means when you are creating a database, when you want to design a database for any organization, the first thing you are searching for is the main entities for which an organization wants to store data. For example, if you want to make a database for PEF college, what will be the main entities? Lecturers or teachers, students, books or course, library, exam or examination, accounts department. So these are all the main entities for which you want to design the database, and the entity becomes your table name. So for example, in a database, if you have 9 entities, so you come across 9 tables in that database. And then furthermore, in a database, relational database model, tables are combined with relationships. And combined, we would say that they are logically linked. That is a good word for them, that they are logically related, logically linked to tables, and that is called relationship. So there are many types of relationship. We will elaborate in the coming lectures, but shortly I will tell you here that, for example, two tables can have a relation, so there can be a one-to-one relation, there can be a one-to-many relationship, and there can be a relationship, many-to-many relationship. When you are making a relationship between two tables, so you would, for example, one to many, I give you an example that okay, a parent can have many child. So one parent can have many childs. Here, if you take it from the other side, so many childs can have a single parent. So this is a relation which is called one to many or many to many. Whenever you are making a relationship between two or more tables, so first of all you have to decide whether it to be it has to be one to one or one to many or many to many. And when you are putting constraints, so it takes the main part in putting or getting constraints on that table. So this is a brief about the relational database model. Now we will discuss another database model, which is object-oriented database model. And that is the fourth one. We have what is an object-oriented database model? It is a new technique, I would say terminology that now widely used throughout the world to create or to design database, which is called object-oriented database model. And this object-oriented database model combines the features of a database system and the object-oriented programming. And we discussed that object-oriented database model combines the features of database capabilities and object-oriented programming. For object-oriented database models, the object is used to store and manipulate the database, data in the database. What is an object? Object is created for a class. So there is a class and the class can have objects. It can have one object or it can have many objects. What is inside a class? Inside a class we have member data and we have member functions. So the object is used to access data which can be private or which can be public or which can be protected. So without object, you cannot access the data from a class. So this is basically a new technique, a new methodology in the database models which is being now used very widely, that they are using the object-oriented programming. Many languages that support object-oriented programming, so they combine with the capabilities of database and this new technique. They have a lot of facilities to design a very multi-dimensional database for us. Now, the last database model we use is object relational database model. As we have discussed earlier, that object is used in object-oriented programming to access data from the class, and relation means table. So here in this database model, the new object storage capabilities to the relational database system. It adds new object database capabilities to the relational database system. We are using two words, relational database system and the database object database capabilities. So when these two combines, the relation, what is the relational database model? We have already discussed. Data is stored in the form of relations, tables, and they are linked. There is a relationship between them. So when you combine the new object-oriented database capability with the relational database systems, so it gives you the object relational database model. And in this is the core for modern information systems. This is the we have already discussed in a class in much detail that what is an information system. So this object relational database model, it provides a core for the new information systems. And some of the examples of this are time series, use special data, with images, with audio, with video, etc. So students, this was the last database model that we have discussed. So let me revise shortly that what we have discussed today. We have discussed 5 database models. And what is the database model? Database model tells us, or it shows us that how to set data to be stored, how the data to be organized, how the data to be manipulated in our database system. So we have different database model. The first one was the hierarchical database model. Second one was the network database model. Then we have relational database model, and in the second last was the object-oriented database model. And now at the last we have discussed object-relational model. I hope the topics were interesting. I hope it is get clear to you people, and inshallah in the next class we will discuss the very interesting and important topic, that is database languages for relational databases. So God bless you dear students, and Allah Hafiz.